Opinionated.
Opinionated.
I found him very arrogant and opinionated.
Opinion makers.
Opinion makers.
Opinion poll.
Opinion poll.
An opinion poll showed that 70% of adults were against legalizing drugs.
Opium.
Opium.
Opossum.
Opossum.
Opponent.
Opponent.
Graf's opponent in today's final would be Sukova.
During the primary elections, McCain was Bush's leading opponent. During the primary elections, McCain was Bush's leading opponent.
In debate, he was a formidable opponent. In debate, he was a formidable opponent. He is admired even by his political opponents.
Rogers was not an opponent of the new airport. Rogers was not an opponent of the new airport.
An outspoken opponent of gun control. An outspoken opponent of gun control. An outspoken opponent of gun control.
Opportune.
Opportune.
I waited, hoping for an opportune moment to discuss the possibility of a raise. An opportune remark.
The law reforms were opportune and important. The law reforms were opportune and important.
Opportunism.
Opportunism.
He accused the diary's publishers of blatant opportunism.
Opportunist.
Opportunist.
Voters dislike opportunists, politicians who change their policies according to opinion polls.
Most burglars are opportunists.
An opportunist crime. The opportunist policies of wartime leaders. The opportunist policies of wartime leaders.
Opportunistic thefts from cars. Opportunistic thefts from cars.
Opportunity.
Opportunity.
A rare opportunity to see inside this historic building. I'd like to take this opportunity to thank you all. Games and songs provide an opportunity for classroom interaction.
There are fewer opportunities for new graduates this year.
Oppose.
Oppose.
Congress is continuing to oppose the president's health care budget.
He is opposed by 2 other candidates.
Opposed.
Opposed.
Most of us are opposed to the death penalty.
The principles of capitalism and socialism are diametrically opposed.
Students discuss ideas, as opposed to just copying from books.
Opposing.
Opposing.
The opposing armies were preparing for war.
The Socialist Party has split into 2 opposing camps. Throughout the negotiations, Hearst and Jevons took opposing views. Opposite.
Opposite.
The people sitting opposite us looked very familiar. On the wall opposite the door. A comedy in which he stars opposite Julia Roberts.
I thought the medicine would make him sleep, but it had the opposite effect.
2 parties at opposite ends of the political spectrum. 2 parties at opposite ends of the political spectrum.
At the opposite extreme, Ashworth's style is very simple and modern. At the opposite extreme, Ashworth's style is very simple and modern. Bob was quicker than Ed. It's usually the opposite way round. A political philosophy that was opposite to everything she believed in.
She turned and walked off in the opposite direction. She turned and walked off in the opposite direction.
But the sign was pointing the opposite way. But the sign was pointing the opposite way.
The store was on the opposite side of the street.
The drawing on the opposite page.
They work at opposite ends of the country, so only see each other at weekends. They work at opposite ends of the country, so only see each other at weekends.
Members of the opposite sex. Members of the opposite sex.
A meeting with her opposite number at the Department of Health. A meeting with her opposite number at the Department of Health.
What's the opposite of optimistic?
She's quite shy, the exact opposite of Becky.
The two men were complete opposites, Simon tall and fair, Clive short and dark.
If anything, the opposite was true. Is it sensible to think of masculine-feminine as polar opposites? Is it sensible to think of masculine-feminine as polar opposites?
I didn't feel sleepy at all, just the opposite, in fact.
Hannah lives just opposite.
Opposition.
Opposition.
There was a great deal of opposition to the war.
They faced opposition from local residents as well as from environmentalists.
He's confident in his ability to overcome all opposition with his personal charm. The proposals have aroused the opposition of teachers. The proposals have aroused the opposition of teachers.
Strong opposition resulted in rejection of the bill.
Plans to turn the site into a £600 million leisure complex have met with stiff opposition. Plans to turn the site into a £600 million leisure complex have met with stiff opposition.
Much public opposition to the new law remained.
Workers found themselves in opposition to local interests.
The leader of the opposition. The leader of the opposition.
The three main opposition parties.
The Socialists were elected to power after 10 years in opposition.
The three main opposition parties.
The Socialists were elected to power after 10 years in opposition.
They played well against good opposition.
The opposition between capitalism and socialism.
Oppress.
Oppress.
Native tribes oppressed by the authorities. The gloom in the chapel oppressed her. The gloom in the chapel oppressed her. The gloom in the chapel oppressed her. Oppressed.
Oppressed.
Oppressed minorities. Oppression.
Oppression.
They suffered years of political oppression. The struggle against oppression.
Oppressive.
Oppressive.
An oppressive military regime. The oppressive heat of the afternoon.
An oppressive silence.
An oppressive atmosphere.
Oppressor.
Oppressor.
Opprobrium.
Opprobrium.
Opt.
Opt.
We finally opted for the wood finish.
Many young people are opting to go on to college. Many young people are opting to go on to college.
Employees have the choice to opt into the scheme. Employees have the choice to opt into the scheme. Employees have the choice to opt into the scheme.
You can't just opt out of all responsibility for the child. You can't just opt out of all responsibility for the child.
Britain wants to opt out of the new European regulations. Britain wants to opt out of the new European regulations.
Optic.
Optic.
The optic nerve.
Optical.
Optical.
Microscopes and other optical instruments.
Optical character recognition.
Optical character recognition.
Optical fiber.
Optical fiber.
Optical illusion.
Optical illusion.
Optician.
Optician.
Optics.
Optics.
Optimal.
Optimal.
Optimism.
Optimism.
Recent results must give some cause for optimism.
There are grounds for cautious optimism.
A new sense of optimism in the country.
There was optimism that an agreement could be reached.
I don't share his optimism about our chances of success.
Optimist.
Optimist.
He's an eternal optimist.
Optimistic.
Optimistic.
Bankers are cautiously optimistic about the country's economic future.
We are still relatively optimistic that the factory can be saved.
Andrew took a more optimistic view.
An optimistic estimate.
Somewhat over-optimistic expectations.
Optimize. Optimize.
They need to optimize the use of available resources.
Optimum.
Optimum.
Optimum conditions for growth.
This design makes the optimum use of the available space.
Option.
Option.
There are a number of options available.
He had 2 options.
This was not the only option open to him.
A range of options for cutting costs.
Another option is to rent somewhere for 6 months. She had the option of staying for an extra year.
Teenage mothers often have no option but to live with their parents.
I'm keeping all my options open for the moment.
Select an option from the main menu.
A list of options.
Is community service just a soft option for criminals?
The government has agreed to buy 20 planes, with an option on a further 10.
Connor now owns 302,000 shares and options. Connor now owns 302,000 shares and options.
Advice on choosing your options.
They've agreed to give us the first option on their apartment.
Optional.
Optional.
3 optional courses.
The other excursions are optional. The other excursions are optional.
Leather seats are an optional extra. Leather seats are an optional extra. Leather seats are an optional extra. Optometrist.
Optometrist.
Opt-out.
Opt-out.
An opt-out clause. The government's opt-out on the euro. An opt-out school.
Opulent.
Opulent. Evening dresses in opulent fabrics.
Europe's opulent elite.
The size and opulence of the rooms.
Opus.
Opus.
Beethoven's Opus 95.
Or,
Or.
should we go out to the cinema or stay at home?
You can have ham, cheese or tuna.
Would you like a coffee or something?
She wasn't involved in drugs or anything like that.
Grapes are usually either green or red.
He's going to do it whether we like it or not.
You must do the job yourself or else employ somebody else to do it. He doesn't have a television or a video. Sonia never cleans or even offers to wash the dishes. Sonia never cleans or even offers to wash the dishes.
Wear your coat or you'll catch cold.
Hurry up or we'll be late.
I had to defend myself, or else he'd have killed me.
You'd better hand over the money, or else.
It's going to snow tomorrow, or that's what the forecast says.
John picked us up in his car, or rather his dad's car, which he'd borrowed.
We've cleaned it all up, or at least most of it. We've cleaned it all up, or at least most of it. We've cleaned it all up, or at least most of it.
He must be at home, or his car wouldn't be here.
It's obviously not urgent, or else they would have called us straight away. It's obviously not urgent, or else they would have called us straight away.
The boy was 3 or 4 years of age.
I saw Donald leaving a minute or two ago.
There's a motel a mile or so down the road.
Or.
An actor.
An inventor.
A translator.
A calculator.
A word processor.
Oracle.
Oracle.
Oracular.
Oracular.
Oral.
Oral.
Oral history.
An oral agreement.
Oral hygiene.
The drug should be taken orally.
The statement may be given orally or in writing. I've got my French oral tomorrow.
Oral contraceptive.
Oral contraceptive.
Oral sex.
Oral sex.
Oral surgeon.
Oral surgeon.
Orange.
Orange.
Peel the oranges and divide them into segments.
Orange juice.
Orange peel.
Orange groves.
A bright shade of orange.
An orange shirt.
Orangeade.
Orangeade.
The orange bowl.
The orange bowl.
Orangery.
Orangery.
Orangutan.
Orangutan.
Oration.
Oration.
Orator.
Orator.
Oratorio.
Oratorio.
Oratory.
Oratory.
Orb.
Orb.
The red orb of the sun.
Orbit.
Orbit.
The satellite orbits the Earth every 48 hours.
The moon's orbit around the Earth. The space shuttle is now in orbit.
The telecommunications satellite went into orbit at the end of last year.
Countries within the orbit of the British Commonwealth.
Orbital.
Orbital.
The Earth's orbital path.
The M25, London's orbital motorway.
Orbiter.
Orbiter. A lunar orbiter.
Orchard.
Orchard.
A cherry orchard. Orchestra.
Orchestra.
The Berlin Symphony Orchestra. The school orchestra. Orchestral.
Orchestral.
Orchestral music.
Orchestra pit.
Orchestra pit.
Orchestrate.
Orchestrate.
The riots were orchestrated by anti-government forces. The riots were orchestrated by anti-government forces.
A carefully orchestrated promotional campaign.
Orchid.
Orchid.
Ordain.
Ordain.
Desmond Tutu was ordained in 1960.
The church voted to allow women to be ordained as priests. The church voted to allow women to be ordained as priests. The church voted to allow women to be ordained as priests.
The king ordained that deer should not be hunted without a royal license. The king ordained that deer should not be hunted without a royal license. Ordeal.
Ordeal.
She then had to go through the ordeal of giving evidence.
She was forced to face the ordeal of withdrawal symptoms.
He was beginning to wonder if he would survive the ordeal.
Teresa had a transplant in 1989 and was just recovering from that ordeal when she suffered a brain hemorrhage. Teresa had a transplant in 1989 and was just recovering from that ordeal when she suffered a brain hemorrhage.
Soon the whole terrifying ordeal would be over.
Order.
Order.
Samuel trained every day in order to improve his performance.
In order to understand how the human body works, you need to have some knowledge of chemistry.
Sunlight is needed in order for the process of photosynthesis to take place in plants. Sunlight is needed in order for the process of photosynthesis to take place in plants.
Make sure that you put the books back in the right order. The files are all out of order.
Then they call out our names in order and we answer yes or no.
Their names are arranged in alphabetical order. The cities are listed in order of importance.
Students learn the verbs in order of difficulty.
The prices are given in ascending order. She read out the names in reverse order. There seemed to be no logical order to the sections.
The captain had to give the order to abandon ship.
She is under orders to have a complete rest. He was thrown into the river on the Emperor's orders.
The company cannot be identified by order of the court.
The breakdown of law and order.
The riots are a threat to public order.
The physics teacher couldn't keep order in any class.
She had trouble keeping her teenage sons in order.
The army was called in to restore order.
Let's have some order in here.
You need to put your financial affairs in order.
She keeps her room in good order.
The waiter took our orders.
Last orders now, please.
When our order finally arrived, we were very hungry indeed.
Goods will be sent within 24 hours of receiving your order.
You can always cancel your order if you change your mind. You can always cancel your order if you change your mind.
The government has placed an order for new weapons.
Please complete the enclosed order form.
My bicycle is on order.
They make handmade shoes to order.
Your order has arrived. You can collect it from the store at any time.
The phone is out of order again.
The MP's remarks were ruled out of order.
Everything is in order.
I hear congratulations are in order.
Is your passport in order?
She keeps her bicycle in good working order.
He called the rioters a threat to the social order.
The people of South Africa wanted a new order. He dared to challenge the established order.
Casual clothes are the order of the day.
Sexual explicitness is the order of the day.
People accepted the class system as part of the natural order of things. People accepted the class system as part of the natural order of things.
An achievement of the highest order. An achievement of the highest order.
A figure in the order of $7 million.
The Benedictine Order. The Order of Jesuits. The Order of the Garter.
Anne ordered another glass of wine.
Are you ready to order?
He sat down and ordered a meal.
I've ordered a new computer from the supplier.
I'll order you a taxi.
The court ordered his release from prison.
Stay right there, she ordered.
Tom was ordered to pay £300 as compensation.
Her doctor had ordered her to rest for a week.
The soldiers were ordered back to their units.
He ordered that the house be sold.
The list is ordered alphabetically.
How dare he order her about like that? The governor decided to order out the National Guard.
Order book.
Order book.
Our order books are full at the moment. Ordered.
Ordered.
An ordered existence.
A well-ordered household.
Ordering.
Ordering.
A different ordering.
Orderly. Orderly.
The tools were arranged in orderly rows. She needs to organize her ideas in a more orderly way.
The elections were conducted in an orderly fashion. They waited in a dignified and orderly manner outside the church.
The Order of Merit.
The Order of Merit.
Order paper.
Order paper.
Ordinal number.
Ordinal number.
Ordinance.
Ordinance.
A city ordinance that says parks must be closed at 11 p.m.
A royal ordinance.
Ordinand.
Ordinand.
Ordinarily.
Ordinarily.
Ordinarily, he didn't like to go to the movies.
This is not the price at which the CD is ordinarily sold. This is not the price at which the CD is ordinarily sold.
Ordinary level.
Ordinary level.
Ordinary seaman.
Ordinary seaman.
Ordinary shares.
Ordinary shares.
Ordination.
Ordination.
The ordination of women.
Ordinance.
Ordinance.
Ordnance survey map.
Ordnance survey map.
Ordure.
Orger.
Ore. Ore.
Iron ore.
Veins of rich ore.
Oregano.
Oregano.
Organ.
Organ.
The liver, heart, and other internal organs.
Loss of blood flow to his vital organs.
Extra doses of the hormone cause the animal's reproductive organs to develop sooner than usual.
In Arizona, 480 people are waiting for organ transplants.
Dying people who have agreed to be organ donors.
An electronic organ.
The courts are organs of government.
The decision-making organs.
The official organ of the Communist Party.
Organdy.
Organdy.
Organ grinder.
Organ grinder.
Organic.
Organic.
Organic farming is better for the environment.
Organic gardening.
The shop sells organic food.
Organic wine.
The company's path to success was by means of organic growth. The company's path to success was by means of organic growth.
Adding organic matter such as manure can improve the soil.
Bacteria act on organic waste. An organic relationship between the individual and his community.
They believe in the organic unity of the universe.
Organic diseases.
Organically produced cheese.
A writer's style must develop organically.
Organic chemistry.
Organic chemistry.
Organism.
Organism.
All living organisms have to adapt to changes in environmental conditions.
Genes operate together in determining the characteristics of an individual organism. Genes operate together in determining the characteristics of an individual organism. Genes operate together in determining the characteristics of an individual organism.
A society is essentially an organism.
Organist.
Organist.
A church organist.
Organization.
Organization.
The public expect high standards from any large organization.
The World Trade Organization.
A voluntary organization which helps disabled people with their transport needs. An illegal terrorist organization.
international organizations such as the UN.
Putting on a show of this kind involves considerable organization.
The college has helped Anne with the organization of the event.
There needs to be a change in the organization of the health service.
Organizational skills.
Organize.
Organize.
The course was organized by a training company.
Students need to learn how to organize their work.
The lawyer helped to organize a group of parents who took action for their children.
The scientists need to organize themselves and work as a team.
He doesn't need you to organize his life for him.
Organize yourself to arrive at places on time.
We are learning about how genes are organized.
The law gives workers the right to organize and bargain collectively. The law gives workers the right to organize and bargain collectively.
Organized.
Organized.
Organized groups of citizens are more successful at changing the government's mind.
Organized networks of thieves are stealing cattle.
A carefully organized campaign. I want to work with a well-organized team.
A highly organized social system.
It will take me a few days to get organized.